My name is Marina. I study here at UL. I'm originally Russian, but I've been studying English for more than 20 years now. Translation history can definitely give people an insight on my life, but on a particular side of my life, which is related to communicating with other people, I think it's a lot. The first word I saw in my translation history is bruise, which in Russian sounds like синяк. I translated it because I got one. I wanted to speak about that and I wasn't quite sure about the translation, so I just wanted to double check. You think you know the word, but you're not 100% sure and you just don't want to sound dumb. This is a word I actually never heard before, but it's a staple in Russian culture. It's called stump in English. In Russian, it's пенёк. We have this famous fairy tale for kids. The starting point of this is on a stump, apothecary. I knew this word before I translated it, but I just did it for the sake of pronunciation. It's apothecary, thank you. I see it everywhere, like fancy pharmacies, French pharmacies. Just also wanted to sound exciting and sophisticated. Exposing my translation history to other people, I definitely feel exposed. Not in a bad way. It's interesting when someone is asking you about an aspect of your life no one else notices.
I'm Prim. Thai is my first language and English is a language that I studied, so maybe like around 19 years. Seeing my translation would give a good insight to my life. The translations would remind people of certain things and they would assume things from my translations. I feel like daily I use a language that I'm quite fluent to a certain degree. The translation would be part of my life when I encounter like unique cultures or something interesting online. Fragrance-free, color-free, generous size, cleansing, flower, moisturizing. It's a translation when I was trying to use the makeup oil remover that my mom gave me. The packaging is all written in Japanese, so I was like curious about the ingredients and how to use it. Unless the grain has been moved, it remains alone, but if it is dead, it brings forth much fruit. I was visiting the catacombs in Paris and there were these signs placed on the walls next to the skulls of all the dead people, and there were like quotes about death. On the 18th of June, I've had more of like single words. I think I was reading books. Typically when I'm translating singular words, it's mostly from books I read. There are a lot of times that I'm not sure if the thing in my head makes sense, and I like to check it with Google Translate. If it translates and it still makes sense in another language, then I have more trust in myself that, okay, the thing that I'm about to say, it will make sense to another person. Now, sharing my translation history, I feel I have went back down a short memory lane, I guess, of this year. It's fun to kind of recap the things that has happened so far.
My name is Sway. I am a Thai native speaker. I've been studying English for 20 years. If you look through my history, you might know which country that I have visited and what are the words that I feel useful, like excuse me, per favore, it's Italian, it means please. Scusa, also Italian, it means excuse me. When I visit some countries, I will find the word that I feel like it's gonna be very helpful for me, and excuse me is one of the words that I always use. Does it say that I'm polite? Excuse me again in Spanish. Coupe. This coupe, like this. But I don't think I use this word because I don't know, it's hard to pronounce, so I still using excuse me and people still understand. Translation is definitely a big part of my life. It's not everyone that can speak English, and sometimes you just need a local word to communicate. L'addition se veut s'il vous plaît, which just mean check please. I translated while I'm in Nice, and I was in a restaurant, and I just wondering how can I just ask the waiter to check. I didn't use this word because it's a bit hard to pronounce. Here to here is the name of my friends in class, and I just want to hear like the Thai accent of my friend's name.
Sharia.
It's Shriya, but when I wrote in Thai, it's Sharia. What do I feel? I feel good, but it's it's okay, I guess.
My name is Miranda. My native language is English, but I'm also half Chinese. So I've been learning and speaking Chinese my whole life. The translation history would give people a vague insight into my life. It doesn't give any personal details away. I wouldn't say it would describe my whole personality and who I am as a person, because I am more than just my search history. I use Google Translate just once a week, just usually on the weekends when I talk to my family members in Chinese. Last weekend we spoke about Christmas, because in China they don't really celebrate Christmas as much as they do in England, so there is a big difference. To say turkey in Chinese is 火鸡. Looking through, I found, okay, I was translating a long paragraph in English to Chinese. I found it quite fascinating to translate what going from English to Chinese, because the more I wrote it out, the more the words stuck. And I was also not just learning how to write the characters, I was also memorizing the words in the sentences. Now I can understand people having a full-on conversation in Chinese and they're very surprised I can understand them. Both my parents and my family in China are really impressed. I'm always conscious of what people would think, particularly being a mixed race child. There's a lot of expectations. I think in some ways it's a good relief. If it was anonymous, I'd be fine. I wouldn't really care too much. Some people are very understanding. Others aren't so much, because they expect you to know all these words.
I'm Xiaolin Kuang. My native language is Chinese, Mandarin, and Cantonese. I have studied English for more than 10 years, I think. At home, I can use my home language, but when I'm going out, I am using another language, like to wearing a new coat. If other people can read my translation history, they might know much more with me, especially when they have the same or similar experience like me. I think they have got the same feelings like me. Constellation. I learned this word from our class a lot, because some of my classmates really fascinating about this. What's your constellation and how's your personality? The falafel. She asked me if I want to try, and I try a little bit. It's better than I think, and I asked her the name. She said it, and I go to the translation app, but she laughed at me because she said it doesn't work on translation app. She just described this word to me because it's like an Indian word, I think, Indian food. It's nice because it's hot. I don't like cold food. I translate the pasta, snack, mackerel. Maybe it's the day I go out for shopping to buy like my whole week's food I need. Mackerel is the fish I like in UK. Reach DHA. On July 12th, I translate 五瓣玫瑰 into 5-petal rose. It's the name of the song that my favorite singer she sung. I share it on Instagram that day and also use these English words. After I share this translation history, I feel a little amazing. I also so surprised that I can remember so much things I have done before. Like these words are connect each other with my memory.
My name is Natalia. I'm from Brazil. I speak Portuguese and I've been learning English for over 10 years. My translation history gives a good insight of my life. When I first moved to London, I used a lot, like way more than I use now. You can see translations from when I was learning a new language, when I was writing a journalism feature, or when I was reading a book. Back in December, I translated from Portuguese Guaraná e Caju, which in English means Guaraná and cashew. I was writing about this girl's project. She's doing jewelry inspired by the Brazilian fruits. At the beginning of the course, when we were all getting to know each other, we created this group chat on WhatsApp and everyone was like writing so fast, and I didn't know when one of the girls wrote resting aloof face. I didn't know what that meant, so I had to quickly use the app to translate that and keep the conversation flowing. Sharing my translation history is kind of fun. I never expected to do that. It's kind of nice to see all these like random words and remember where I was at the time, what I was doing.